After Bob Iger beat Nelson Peltz in the most recent proxy battle for Disney board seats, some folks thought that meant that Bob Iger had won and Disney was fine and dandy. We are here to dissuade you of that, folks, because internally, Disney is now recognizing they are in collapse. And they internally now have a plan to try to stop that collapse. We're going to show you the hard data. We will prove to you that Disney is in an absolute crash when it comes to maintaining audiences, and we'll tell you exactly why they think that they can fix it. Hello folks, welcome back to the Pro Channel. It is an honor every time you share your time with us. Truly an attitude of gratitude for each and every one of you out there. Hope you're having a wonderful weekend, and we're so happy to have a hangry table, we'll call him HT, back with us again. HT, how are you?
I'm doing great, Pro. Thanks for having me, and you can call me hangry if you want.
Well, I don't want to evoke any anger out of you, nor hunger. So what a combination. But Disney, speaking of hangry, Disney is very hangry, folks, for a win. Let's talk about why. And this is going to be stunning to you if you're out there and you think Disney is A-okay. Because we're going to show you in high fidelity, they're not. They are really, really, really not okay in ways that might shock the average viewer. But let's get straight to it and we'll find out. As we do so, folks, click that like button if you enjoy content like this, where we show you the hard data that proves what we're saying. And Hangry, what we're looking at right now is the market share for the box office for the Walt Disney Company. This via thenumbers.com, and they track all of this information regarding the box office. We love this website. If you go back to 2019, the Walt Disney Company was sitting above 30% of market share for the worldwide box office. And what do we see? Well, we see that in 2019, the Walt Disney Company generated $11.1 billion in box office revenue. Now, that is a far cry from where we are today, because it's not just that the overall box office has dropped. No, it is much more than that. Take a look at where we are today. In 2024, despite those Pixar movies being re-released to theaters, which is Disney probably wanted to try to stop this from getting out there, Disney's market share right now at the box office, folks, if you can believe it, is 0.37% in 2024. Let me say it again. Disney's total market share is 0.37%. So from above 30 to 0.37%. And they have to change that. And they have to change it fast. So they're hoping that Planet of the Apes, even though that's 20th Century Fox, they're hoping that will do well. And they're really hoping that 4 big movies are going to do well. They need, this is the Bob Iger plan, they need $4 billion hits this year. And that's the plan. 4 movies that make $1 billion. And folks, we're going to show you why they are so desperate to hit that. But I just want to bring this into clarity also. If you think last year was better, and maybe it's just this year is weird, the Walt Disney Company last year was down to 16.17% of the total box office, and they were down to $4.8 billion in total box office revenue. That is more than half of their revenue cut, and they still have the same number of studios operating, and that means losses. So, Hangry, before we get into more of this data, and it's fantastic data, folks, I'm begging you, I don't normally do this, folks, stick around. We're going to show you something that nobody else is showing you. We've got some numbers here. You have to see them. In fact, if you don't want to hang around for this part, skip ahead and go watch it, because you have to see what we're going to tell you about a new secret competitor that's striking fear in Disney when it comes to streaming, and no one else is talking about this. But first, HT, why? Why has Disney dropped to this degree at the box office?
Wow. I mean, okay. Are you guys still there? Are you still watching us, or did you skip ahead? If you're still there. Okay, good.
They've got to be here. It's too good. It's too good, HT.
It's too good. I see 2 lines and they're both going down, but good gravy. Look at that red line. That is unbelievable. And I mean, yes, you can see where COVID hit, and you can see how, the tickets have dropped, but we were looking at a pretty good climb back up. I'm looking at the blue line there, and it's gone down a bit, but look at that. That's almost a vertical drop for Disney between 2023 and 2024. My goodness. I can't get over that. But as
even with inflation, HT, inflation should be holding it at least steady, because Ticket prices have out-inflated historic inflation levels.
I just went to the movies the other day, and I can tell you from a personal perspective, yeah, that is 100% correct. Even the popcorn's gone up. But no, this is wild. And I mean, we all know why this is happening. It's because of the fact that we just haven't getting good product out of Disney, flat out. Last year, I think, was a record in terms of bombs, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, I listen. I never thought a studio would manage to lose the kind of money that Disney managed to do last year. It's unfathomable what they did last year. I mean, we can go through the Marvels, we can go through Haunted Mansion, we can go through Indiana Jones: The Dial of Destiny, we can go through Ant-Man and Quantumania. And all of it was greenlit under Bob Iger. That's what people don't understand. The first movie we're getting that was ever greenlit under Bob Chapek, Deadpool and Wolverine. And now Bob Iger's praying it'll break $1 billion.
Yeah, well, that's it, right? Because when you look at the slate that's coming up, Deadpool and Wolverine is in July. Then you've got, I mean, this is both TV shows and movies, but in terms of movies, you've got, then after that, it's this Brave New World Captain America in February 14th, which is 2025, right? It's Deadpool.
Right, that's the secret, Hangry. That's the secret. It's harder next year than it is this year for them because they have more movies next year. Very few of them have high potentials.
Yeah.
You think Elio from Pixar is going to outperform Moana 2? No. Even though they have so few movies this year, they have to succeed this year. Let me show you why. So folks, here's why. This is out of CNBC.com by Sarah Whitten. We enjoy her articles. Wall Street is watching for a $10 billion domestic box office in 2026. Disney could get it there. Now, remember that Disney alone topped $10 billion in 2019. But for everything to come into place the way that it's supposed to, for Wall Street to hang in there with Disney, and they bailed Bob Iger out, right? For them to be satisfied with where Disney is going, they need Disney to significantly lift the box office towards $10 billion. And if Disney can't do that, then whoa Nelly, bar the doors because Nelson Peltz is breaking through no matter what. And so because next year is so difficult for the Disney company, they have to succeed this year. They have to. And you might say, well, I thought everything was going to streaming, right? You know, like the movies are kind of on the way out and theaters are dying and we're all going to switch to watching stuff at home. And well, folks, let me show you the data we have that nobody else has. And you've got to see it. It's right here. It's provided by Now It's Known on Twitter, also known as Mac. He does a phenomenal job of sending us data, and we are highly appreciative because this is the holy grail of what is going on and causing Disney to freak out in the background. So, folks, if you're watching now, this is it. If you want to know why there's a panic internally at Disney, and they have to fix this immediately, we're going to walk you through it. So HT, let me show you this. Here's what you need to know about these three charts. We've got February 2023, September 2023, and February 2024. What we really want to watch is what happened from February 2023 to February 2024. And what we're looking at is the total streaming percentages in terms of hours watched of streaming services. It really matters because streaming services are going to ad-based revenue, okay? So let me show you this. There's the first thing we need to look at is Disney has totally given up on trying to overcome Netflix. And by the way, YouTube, despite the fact that some of Disney's execs and some of Wall Street participants want to ignore YouTube as a streaming service, it doesn't matter. It's real and it does stream stuff, and it's the number one. But Netflix went from 7.3 to 7.8%. That's a 0.05% increase in total market share of hours watched on streaming. YouTube went from 7.9 to 9.3. That is gargantuan.
Yeah.
Well, what happened to Disney and Hulu? Because now Disney is integrating Hulu. Folks, I promise it'll all make sense in just a moment. Disney Plus went from 1.8 to 1.9, and that's fine. 0.1 increase, that's fine. But as they integrated Hulu, and they spent tremendous amounts of money buying Hulu, it's going to be somewhere between $20 and $30 billion.
Oof.
Hulu dropped from 3.3 of total market share in terms of hours streamed to 2.8%. And now that Hulu is being integrated into Disney Plus, That comes out to be somewhere between 0.4 and 0.5% decline in total Disney streaming, not including ESPN right now because it's not included. That is a massive drop at the same time that their main competitors are rising. Now, HT, what that means is that Disney has spent, and we've covered this before, they've got $30 billion in losses in streaming so far. They threw everything all in on the table to go in on streaming. And they're failing. They're losing ground. And they're losing ground rapidly. And they're killing Hulu just like we said. And the box office, that's their gateway back in if they're going to ever have any chance. They have to have movies that people care about that they can then bring onto Disney Plus because they can't spend on Disney Plus anymore. They can't keep up with the churn. So the movies have to be the answer. That's why there's a $4 billion plan, right? 4 movies, each with $1 billion to get things back on track, or else they're in catastrophe mode. Last point, and then I want you to talk about this. This is amazing, folks. Take a look. There's a reason that one of these streaming services is circled. You may have never even heard of this streaming service. Disney has, trust us. Tubi. Notice how Tubi is circled? Tubi started off in 2023 with 1% of the market share. In other words, not a very major player at all. Tubi, by the end, or by the beginning of 2024, 1 year, had gained 0.7% up to 1.7, which puts them, by the way, within striking distance of Disney Plus, which, by the way, means that they might actually overcome Disney Plus. Now, why does that matter? Well, that matters because Tubi belongs to Fox. Not the Fox that Disney bought, but the Fox that remains after Mr. Murdoch sold most of his assets to Disney, including that share of Hulu. So Disney has spent something around between $20 and $30 billion when all is said and done on buying Hulu that they're now killing. And HT, do you know how much Fox Corp bought Tubi for?
I'm guessing it wasn't 30 billion.
$400 million, and it's licensed content, so it has no churn.
Wow.
And that is about to beat Disney Plus, and Disney Plus is $30 billion in the hole. So imagine if you're Bob Iger and you've destroyed the box office, and you have to resurrect the box office, and all of your investors have believed that everything's on Disney Plus, and you've bought Hulu to integrate it to make that happen. You're $30 billion in the hole. And the people who sold you Hulu have acquired a streaming service for $400 million, and it's probably already profitable. You're in the hole $30 billion. And the guys you thought you hosed, they hosed you. This is why there is a, I don't know if I call it a plan. There is a prayer that they can get 4 movies to $1 billion this year and give investors the hope that they can get back to making great content and get out of collapse. Because if this doesn't work, this is why we tell folks Nelson Peltz will be back. And, you should ignore the folks out there who tell you that Disney's fine and Nelson Peltz was crushed and all this, because Disney has kind of become a political thing, and politics tends to muddy up the waters in terms of people thinking clearly. These charts, these are pretty darn clear. HT, what do you think after looking at all of this amazing data? Tell me what you think is actually happening at Disney right now.
Well, there are a couple of things on my mind. There's a saying that's been kind of resonating with me lately, that the best indicator of future performance is past performance. And in this case, it's almost, what is the opposite of a Midas touch? Because you saw this coming, right? We saw how whenever Disney acquires something, they don't make it better. Marvel, Lucasfilm, Pixar, and now Hulu. We're seeing the reverse Midas touch impacting.
I think you're
Hulu.
Describing the Grim Reaper.
The Grim Reaper, maybe. Well, there's a really popular anime called My Hero Academia, and the main villain has this super ability where anything he touches decays rapidly. And I almost wonder if that's not a metaphor that we could apply for future reference. But the other thing too that I'm really that blows my mind is Tubi. To me, it's the equivalent of buying the iPhone 14 and paying out the pocket for it, or Apple to all of a sudden turn around and say the next day, well, here's the iPhone 15. Reverse hosing, is that terminology that we can lay claim to? Maybe.
I think it's apropos right now.
Wow. So that being said, I'm at a bit of a loss for words. It's still amazing that they've been able to take Hulu and actually reduce its market share. I didn't think that was possible, and yet here we are. And looking at the films that they've got coming up, again, you've got Deadpool, which I think is going to be probably their best shot at $1 billion. But then, everything else, Inside Out 2, Moana 2, Mufasa the Lion King, and then there's the Snow White live action remake.
You've named the 4 movies that they need to make $1 billion. So let's walk through that. They need Inside Out 2, they need Deadpool and Wolverine, they need Moana 2, and Mufasa. That's the 4 that they need to make $1 billion, because they have to get to $4 billion, because this is their strong, even though there's so few movies, this is by far their strongest slate.
Yeah.
And if they don't make the $4 billion, then what that's going to show is a major decline from last year to this year. Despite the fact that it's kind of psychological, it's psychologically damning to go from a $4 billion to a $3 billion, right, year to year, and knowing that next year is really hard, because you got stuff like Elio and Rachel Zegler's Snow White. Like, there's not, Thunderbolts. Like, none of that really is exciting me even to talk about it. No. It makes me just kind of cringe for them to think, you got to make that win. Ooh, that just sucks. It's bad hands, man, and they're the ones who dealt their own cards.
Well, it's going to be really interesting too to see how these movies play out. Again, I think out of those 4, it'll be Deadpool, Wolverine. That's the one I would lay my chips on. But Inside Out 2, Moana 2, Mufasa, they don't. And again, maybe I'm not the target audience, but they don't strike me as being clear $1 billion winners. And with the damage that Disney continues to take in terms of its reputation, in terms of the fact that it's gone political, the loss of trust of families in especially, you're going to have parents looking at these and thinking, do I really want to go and see Inside Out 2 unless I've heard people say it's good? Like, do I really want to take my kids to go and see Moana 2? Mufasa the Lion King? Like, I don't know. Like, is in my own case with my own kids, anything Disney pre-2016, I'm generally comfortable with. Anything after that, I start to be, a little concerned. And so I'm not alone in that. So I'm not, I generally don't like to bet. For the people who worked on these movies, I hope they do well, but I'm not getting a good feeling about this. My spider sense is tingling.
Hangry, they've got big problems, and that's been glossed over. But again, we want to thank Mac for giving this to us. This is tremendous data. Nobody else, folks, is connecting these dots. And honestly, we would not have either. Again, we have to say thank you to our sources. I mean, we have the best sources absolutely on the web, and we're so thankful. HT, we're also thankful for you. You do a tremendous job of cultivating all of the member-exclusive content that's on the channel as well as on That Park Place. And I just want to, give you a virtual handshake and shout out your praises to everybody who's watching, and say, for all the members out there who enjoy Genre Guys or who enjoy those member spotlights, this is the guy doing it. And it's a tremendous value that you provide to the channel. And we're so honored that you do that for us. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you, sir, for the opportunity. And thank you to the members for having watched it. And we also have the Lost Guys now. We just recorded an episode yesterday with myself, Nolan Thunder, and Martin Stone on, a classic detective novel called The Golden Spiders with Nero Wolfe. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that before. And if you haven't, you should check it out. It'll probably be airing on That Park Place, hopefully in the next little while.
Fantastic. And folks, Genre Guys, which is Hangry's invention that he came up with, Lauren Connor and LW Ghost. That's been member exclusive right here on this channel. And it's still going to remain member exclusive, ad-free, but member exclusive for 2 months now because it's so popular and the viewership is so high. We can't really keep it member exclusive when it explodes like this. And so after 2 months, we're going to move it over. It will be ad-based at that point, but it'll be over on the T3PO podcast channel. That is That Park Place Podcasts Online, being run by Vash. And we're happy to have a new channel that can provide us with those long format videos that so many of you out there really want while you're listening in at work and doing those other tasks. And it's just a great thing to see all of this coming together. Folks, we hope we did a great job of putting the data out there. Our goal is not to be mean to Disney. Our goal is to fix Disney. And the only way that we can help Disney get itself fixed is to point out what they probably already know to the public, so that maybe you're an investor, maybe you are someone who works at Disney, maybe you didn't know that Tubi is about to overtake Disney Plus, maybe you didn't know that the box office has absolutely collapsed. We want to help be the solution, but you can't be the solution until you identify the problem. Bob Iger knows there's a problem. We see the plan, we're not sure it's sufficient. If you like content like this, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, click it, stick it to the algorithms, it's the notification bell, and drop a comment down below. Let us know. Did you have any idea that this was happening behind the scenes? And will this perhaps impact the way the proxy battle goes, should it return for next year? Folks, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.
I just found out to get WDW Pro's information, where he gets his sources. I can't believe he uses Wilton!
What?
We got a job to do. It's easy to hack into WDW Pro's computer.
You're kidding me. That's awesome. You know any other stuff?
Yeah, just Jonas Campbell told me.
Sweet.
Said Pro underpaid him or something.
A few minutes later.
There. Oh, awesome. Whatever. All I gotta do is
Whoa.
hack into this thing. It's gonna be so easy.
Yeah, this isn't
All
a
right,
hack.
grab this picture over here.
Leave it to me.
Oh, no. Oh, Wilson.
Job done. What?
No, all we had to do was use the picture because he uses Face Unlock. Now we gotta go to thatparkplace.com and sub to him and his team on YouTube.
Oh, well, I already did that because I'm smart.